The graph of a quadratic function f is given. F of x equals minus x squared plus 8x minus 7. We are to find the coordinates of the vertex and the x and y intercepts. We can find the coordinates of the vertex by transforming the quadratic function into the form f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. We will do that by completing the square. So we will begin by factoring out a negative 1 from the first two terms. We do this because the leading coefficient must be a positive 1. So now, rather than plus 8x, we will have minus 8x, since we are factoring a negative 1 out of these two terms. We will leave a space, close the parenthesis, and then leave the negative 7 on the outside. Now we will locate the coefficient on x, which will be negative 8. We will find half of that and then square it. So this will be minus 4 squared, or 16. We add this inside the parentheses, and then we have to compensate for having added this 16 inside the parentheses. Now, what we've really done is subtracted a 16, because if we were to distribute the negative 1 through each term inside the parentheses, the net result would be a subtraction of 16. So in order to compensate, we must add 16. Now, we have minus 1 times the square x minus 4 squared. When we factor, it factors into x minus 4 squared. And then we have plus 9 on the outside. Once we have transformed this into its f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k form, we can find the vertex, because the vertex is at hk. H is the value that is being subtracted from x, and in this case that would be positive 4. So the vertex will be at 4, and then k is the value that is added on outside the parentheses, and in this case it is 9. So 9 will be our y-coordinate. And we can see that here. This vertex is at 4, 9. Now we will find the x and y intercepts. To find the y-intercept, we will substitute 0 for x. That is most easily done in the original form of the function. We'll find f of 0, which will be minus 0 squared plus 8 times 0 minus 7. The first two terms zero out, so we find that f of 0 is negative 7. So the y-intercept will be at 0, negative 7. In order to find the x-intercepts, we will substitute 0 for y. This would be most easily done in our second form for the quadratic function. So we will put 0 equals the opposite of x minus 4 squared plus 9. We can add x minus 4 squared to both sides, which would give us x minus 4 squared equals 9. And then we could square root both sides. So we would have x minus 4 squared under a radical equals, and then we have to remember to apply the plus or minus on the right. So what we have is x minus 4 equals plus or minus 3. Adding 4 to both sides, we have x equals 4 plus or minus 3, which gives us two values, x equal to 1 or x equal to 7. So our x-intercepts would be 1, 0, and 7, 0.